You are listening to the audiobook edition of Glimpses of World History, written by Jawaharlal Nehru and first published in 1934. This audio presentation has been created by Giribala Joshi using advanced text-to-speech technology.
Chapter 1: A New Year's Gift. New Year's Day, 1931. Do you remember the letters I wrote to you, more than 2 years ago, when you were at Missouri and I was at Allahabad? You liked them, you told me then, and I have often wondered if I should not continue that series and try to tell you something more about this world of ours. But I have hesitated to do so. It is very interesting to think of the past story of the world and of the great men and women and of the great deeds that it contains. To read history is good, but even more interesting and fascinating is to help in making history. And you know that history is being made in our country today. The past of India is a long, long one, lost in the mists of antiquity. It has its sad and unhappy periods which make us feel ashamed and miserable, but on the whole it is a splendid past of which we may well be proud and think with pleasure. And yet today we have little leisure to think of the past. It is the future that fills our minds, the future that we are fashioning, and the present that absorbs all our time and energy. I have had time enough here in Naini Prison to read or write what I wanted to. But my mind wanders and I think of the great struggle that is going on outside, of what others are doing and what I would do if I were with them. I am too full of the present and the future to think of the past. And yet I have felt that this was wrong of me. When I cannot take part in the work outside, why should I worry? But the real reason, shall I whisper it to you, why I put off writing was another one. I am beginning to doubt if I know enough to teach you. You are growing up so fast, and becoming such a wise little person, that all that I learned at school and college and afterwards may not be enough for you, and at any rate may be rather stale. After some time, it may be that you will take up the role of teacher and teach me many new things. As I told you, in the letter I wrote to you on your last birthday, I am not at all like the very wise man who went about with copper plates round about him, so that he might not burst with excessive learning. When you were at Missouri it was easy enough for me to write about the early days of the world. For the knowledge that we have of those days is vague and indefinite. But as we come out of those very ancient times, history gradually begins, and man begins his curious career in various parts of the world. And to follow man in this career, sometimes wise, more often mad and foolish, is no easy matter. With the help of books one might make an attempt. But Naini Prison does not provide a library. So I am afraid it is not possible for me to give you any connected account of world history, much as I should have liked to have done so. I dislike very much boys and girls learning the history of just one country, and that too, very often through learning by heart some dates and a few facts. But history is one connected whole, and you cannot understand even the history of any one country if you do not know what has happened in other parts of the world. I hope that you will not learn history in this narrow way, confining it to one or two countries, but will survey the whole world. Remember always that there is not so very much difference between various people as we seem to imagine. Maps and atlases show us countries in different colors. Undoubtedly people do differ from one another, but they resemble each other also a great deal, and it is well to keep this in mind and not be misled by the colors on the map or by national boundaries. I cannot write for you the history of my choice. You will have to go to other books for it. But I shall write to you from time to time something about the past and about the people who lived in the days gone by, and who played a big part on the world stage. I do not know if my letters will interest you or awaken your curiosity. Indeed, I do not know when you will see them, or if you will see them at all. Strange that we should be so near and yet so far away. In Missouri you were several hundred miles away from me. Yet I could write to you as often as I wished, and run up to you when the desire to see you became strong. But here we are on either side of the Jumna River, not far from each other, yet the high walls of Naini Prison keep us effectively apart. One letter a fortnight I may write, and one letter a fortnight I may receive, and once a fortnight I may have a 20-minute interview. And yet these restrictions are good. We seldom value anything which we can get cheaply, and I am beginning to believe that a period in prison is a very desirable part of one's education. Fortunately there are scores of thousands in our country who are having this course today. I cannot say if you will like these letters when you see them. But I have decided to write them for my own pleasure. They bring you very near to me, and I feel almost that I have had a talk with you. Often enough I think of you, but today you have hardly been absent from my mind. Today is New Year's Day. As I lay in bed, very early in the morning, watching the stars, I thought of the great year that was past, with all its hope and anguish and joy, and all the great and gallant deeds performed. And I thought of Bapuji, who has made our old country young and vigorous again by his magic touch, sitting in his prison cell in Yeravada. And I thought of Dadu and many others. Footnote: Indira's grandfather, Pundit Motilal Nehru. End of footnote. And especially I thought of Mummy and you. Later in the morning came the news that Mummy had been arrested and taken to jail. It was a pleasant New Year's gift for me. It had long been expected, and I have no doubt that Mummy is thoroughly happy and contented. But you must be rather lonely. Once a fortnight you may see Mummy, and once a fortnight you may see me, and you will carry our messages to each other. But I shall sit down with pen and paper, and I shall think of you. And then you will silently come near me, and we shall talk of many things. And we shall dream of the past, and find our way to make the future greater than the past. So on this New Year's Day let us resolve that, by the time this year also grows old and dies, we shall have brought this bright future dream of ours nearer to the present, and given to India's past a shining page of history. End of Chapter 1, titled, A New Year's Gift. Chapter 2, The Lesson of History. January 5, 1931. What shall I write to you, my dear? Where shall I begin? When I think of the past, vast numbers of pictures rush through my mind. Some of the pictures stay longer than others. They are my favorites, and I begin to muse about them, and, unconsciously almost, I compare past happenings with what is taking place today, and try to find a lesson in them for my guidance. But what a strange jumble is one's mind, full of disconnected thoughts and ill-arranged images, like a gallery with no order in the arrangement of pictures. And yet perhaps the fault is not entirely ours. Most of us could certainly arrange the order of events in our minds better. But sometimes the events themselves are strange and difficult to fit into any scheme of things. I think I wrote to you once that a study of history should teach us how the world has slowly but surely progressed, how the first simple animals gave place to more complicated and advanced animals, how last of all came the master animal, man, and how by force of his intellect he triumphed over the others. Man's growth from barbarism to civilization is supposed to be the theme of history. In some of my letters I have tried to show you how the idea of cooperation, or working together, has grown, and how our ideal should be to work together for the common good. But sometimes, looking at great stretches of history, it is difficult to believe that this ideal has made much progress, or that we are very much civilized or advanced. There is enough of want of cooperation today, of one country or people selfishly attacking or oppressing another, of one man exploiting another. If after millions of years of progress we are still so backward and imperfect, how much longer will it take us to learn to behave as sensible and reasonable persons? Sometimes we read about past periods of history which seem to be better than ours, more cultured and civilized even, and this makes us doubt if our world is going forward or backward. Our own country has surely had brilliant periods in the past, far better in every way than our present. It is true that there have been brilliant periods in the past in many countries, in India, Egypt, China, Greece, and elsewhere, and that many of these countries have relapsed and gone back. But even this should not make us lose heart. The world is a big place, and the rise and fall of any country for a while may not make much difference to the world at large. Many people nowadays are apt to boast of our great civilization and of the wonders of science. Science has indeed done wonders, and the great men of science are worthy of all respect. But those who boast are seldom the great. And it is well to remember that in many ways man has not made very great progress from the other animals. It may be that in certain ways some animals are superior to him still. This may sound a foolish statement, and people who do not know better may laugh at it. But you have just read Maeterlinck's Life of the Bee, of the white ant, and the ant, and you must have wondered at the social organization of these insects. We look down upon the insects as almost the lowest of living things, and yet these tiny things have learnt the art of cooperation and of sacrifice for the common good far better than man. Ever since I read of the white ant and of its sacrifices for its comrades, I have developed a soft corner in my heart for it. If mutual cooperation and sacrifice for the good of society are the tests of civilization, we may say that the white ant and the ant are in this respect superior to man. In one of our old Sanskrit books there is a verse which can be translated as follows. For the family sacrifice the individual, for the community the family, for the country the community, and for the soul the whole world. What the soul is few of us can know or tell, and each one of us can interpret it in a different way. But the lesson this Sanskrit verse teaches us is the same lesson of cooperation and sacrifice for the larger good. We in India had forgotten this sovereign path to real greatness for many a day, and so we had fallen. But again we seem to have glimpses of it, and all the country is astir. How wonderful it is to see men and women, and boys and girls, smilingly going ahead in India's cause and not caring about any pain or suffering. Well may they smile and be glad, for the joy of serving in a great cause is theirs, and to those who are fortunate comes the joy of sacrifice also. Today we are trying to free India. That is a great thing. But an even greater is the cause of humanity itself. And because we feel that our struggle is a part of the great human struggle to end suffering and misery, we can rejoice that we are doing our little bit to help the progress of the world. Meanwhile, you sit in Anand Bhawan, and Mummy sits in Malacca jail, and I here in Naini Prison, and we miss each other sometimes, rather badly, do we not? But think of the day when we shall all three meet again. I shall look forward to it, and the thought of it will lighten and cheer up my heart. End of Chapter 2, titled The Lesson of History.